everyone. This is Elliot Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here on CCW TV, the video vodcast where Jose and I talk about comics, comic culture, and the industry. We're getting to the end of the year, and we decided to kind of do like a total blowout and really just give folks what they've been wanting. So in this series of segments, folks, you're not going to get one, not two, but three, count them, three Brian Bendis reviews. We're going to look at three books that Brian Bendis has written. So you, some of you, I know you're giddy with anticipation right now.
And we could have done another one. We could have done Ultimate Spider-Man too. That came out this week too.
Yeah, that came out as well. So, but you know what? These are the books that everyone's talking about. And, heck, we're just going to go with what people want. Don't get us wrong. We've got an independent book to look at. We've got a DC book to look at. But the bulk of this is going to be Brian Bendis. Wow. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. You know what? Screw it. Let's just jump in. Let's jump right in. And let's talk about the big event that Marvel is kicking off now. Almost a year to the day from when we had the last Cabal book, right?
Well, Secret Invasion ended last December. I think the Cabal book came out like the next week after that.
The next week, right?
So.
We have The Siege, The Cabal by the aforementioned Brian Bendis with artwork by Stephen Lark and a host of others.
Michael Lark.
I'm sorry, Michael Lark, my bad. The premise of The Siege, of course, is that Norman Osborn it wants to take on Asgard, wants to get Thor and Asgard off the planet, essentially putting Loki back in as the ruler of Asgard. That's why Loki made himself part of the Cabal. And, you know, so Loki, as always wants to be the ruler of Asgard. Hasn't Loki actually been the ruler of Asgard at one point? I think he did it like, you know, I want to say like maybe 10, 15 years ago. There was a whole bit where Loki was the ruler of Asgard because Thor was away. And Loki found out that being the ruler of Asgard wasn't all that it's cracked up to be. You know, just ended up being a big shit pot for him. Don't gods remember these kinds of things, you know? Fanboys do.
I don't think the reader or the writers really care.
Oh, really?
The writers are the ones that should remember those things.
Yeah, really. So it sets off this whole chain of. I mean, this is really a setup book to set up a book.
Yeah.
Which is okay. We start off with Norman Osborn having another one of his psychotic events. The first 3 pages are him talking to himself.
Yeah.
You know. It turns out the Green Goblin mask is talking to him.
It never gets old.
Yeah. Well, because, you know, what happened was that and Brian Bendis took this thing that Warren Ellis set up in Thunderbolts that Norman Osborn was off his meds.
Right.
He wasn't taking his meds, and that was causing him to have psychotic events. So Bendis takes ideas that other writers set up, and he runs with them.
And usually trips and falls and brings everything down with it.
So there's this whole psychotic event where Osborn now is going to take on the Asgardians, and that's what this sets up. But then we kind of like forget about that. We forget that this whole book is supposed to set up the Siege event, because now you get into a pissing match between Doom and Osborn, where Osborn collects the Cabal together and decides to pull out his ace in the hole, the thing that he's supposed to use to keep everybody else in check.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Osborn, for being supposedly the smartest guy in the Cabal, shows how really stupid he is. Because he forgets the number one rule of dealing with Doom. Mm-hmm. Never act like you're dealing with him man-to-man, face-to-face. Doom never fights you man-to-man and face-to-face. Yeah. Never.
Is it? That's what I don't understand. Is like, was the whole thing being a Doombot supposed to be a surprise to people? Because that's kind of what I figured. Whenever Doom shows up anywhere that's not in his castle, it's a Doombot.
It's a Doombot, right?
I mean, that's the way you always think about it. It's like, so is this supposed to be some kind of twist? Like, oh my god, it wasn't. Yeah, and then they tease the ace in the hole. They show the back like silhouette again. It's like, all right, dude, it's been a fucking year.
Yeah.
All right. Give us something. Like this book. Seriously, this book easily could have come out like 2 months after the first Cabal book.
Yeah.
And I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
But no, it's like it's been an entire year to get to this, and this is nothing. This is boring ass shit. It's stuff that has already been dealt with, and I don't understand why.
I know who it is. I know who it is.
Who?
It's Jessica Jones' baby.
Oh, it's all grown up now.
Brian Bendis is going to take Jessica Jones' baby and make it the ace in the hole.
The baby's in New Avengers.
That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, by the way, for those who thought that the Taskmaster was the ace in the hole, he's not. It's not the Molecule Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more and more.
I still think it's the Beyonder. Like,
nah, the Beyonder's already been retconned out into another kind of meh. Bendis already took care of that. The more and more they're running out of options. It's gotta be Marvel Man. It has to be.
Does it have to be?
They're painting themselves into a corner. I can't think of anyone else right now who you could keep as the ace in the hole, who is an unknown quantity that you can basically introduce whatever power level you want that he can take on anybody. That's the only way I can think it.
Well, except for the fact that this is Brian Michael Bendis, and Brian Michael Bendis can retcon his own retcon. He can do whatever. That's what he does. When he paints himself into his hole.
Yeah, but
he just changes things. He just changes the rules of the game.
Yeah, but they go, what the hell is that? Who the hell is that? Other people, Doom knows who the Beyonder is. He's taken on the Beyonder, remember? He assumed the Beyonder's powers. Yeah. So, Doom would have been like, screw you. So again, this is just like, I'm sorry, how much was this book?
$5.
For how many pages?
Like 30 pages of art.
30 pages of art.
Or 30 pages of art, and then like a 6-page preview to the Siege #1, which you're gonna have to buy and pay for anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
it's such a worthless book.
It seems like, why do you need... Here's my question. Why do you need this book to set up anything? Could have easily done this in Dark Avengers.
Yeah, but
you don't need a one-shot to do it.
I don't, but this is what we've been talking about all year. Is like with those Dark Reign, the list books,
right,
and the Avengers like annuals. Those are all essentially just one more issue to the monthly book that they can make more money off of. And that's essentially what this is. This is like another issue of the Dark Avengers.
And it's like it's getting old. This whole thing is getting old really quick. It's the whole.
This whole thing was just boring. There wasn't like anything that happened. There was like nothing that was given. It was just all it was Doom leaving the Cabal.
Yeah.
And then and they're setting up where Loki is gonna fuck over Osborn at some point with this whole.
Oh yeah, well that's a given though. Come on.
No, but I also like the fact that they had this whole scene where like Osborn is trying to talk the president into letting him.
Oh yeah, letting him invade Asgard, right?
Yeah, and then the president's like, no, you're not gonna do that. And he's like, why not? He's like, well, because I'm the president, and you're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so...
And wait a minute, is it me, or does the president look really mighty white right now?
Well, this is a hologram. It could be.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't even look like he's got... It looks like, straight hair as opposed to kind of like a close-cut fro. Like our... We've already established that the president in the Marvel Universe is a black man. Yeah. Might not be Obama, but it is a black man. That did not look like a black man in the hologram.
In this 6-page preview for the Siege, we get to see Bendis retread even some more shit, because they're trying to think. Loki and Osborn are talking like, all right, well, we have to change the president's mind. What do we do? And then Loki's like, well, remember in Civil War, before the Civil War, how there was, an incident that caused the Civil War? Mm-hmm. It's like, we need another one of those. We need another Stanford, Connecticut. So what happens in the Siege, or in this preview, is that a bunch of villains go and they blow up Soldier Field and they kill a bunch of people in Chicago. It's like, that's the exact same plot point from like Civil War that caused the whole thing.
Right.
Why? It's like you couldn't think of anything clever at all You just want to retread old shit. We've already seen this before.
Plus, on top of that, I don't understand why Volstagg is in Chicago to begin with. Asgard is floating over friggin' Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near Chicago.
He's wandering, though. He's wandering around.
It's a long way to go from Oklahoma to Asgard on a horse, of all things.
Well, hey, man. It doesn't need to make sense. It's comic book.
And of all things, Soldier Field? Really? That's the incident that you're going to have a stadium full of people in Soldier Field? I mean,
well, it's because the president's from Chicago.
Yeah, okay, why not bring down the Sears Tower? Or is that too much like 9/11?
Probably. But it's just stupid. It's just it's the same exact type of incident that started Civil War, and that was already old when it has happened. This is just ridiculous. And now it's just... And then the ads for these things are like the Siege event 7 years in the making. Fucking bullshit, 7 years in the making. Right. Whatever, man. It's just...
So, Siege, The Cabal by Michael Lark and the aforementioned Brian Bendis.
It's nothing new.
Nothing new. It gets kind of a typical review from us. The thing that kind of annoys me right now, make these books part of the regular continuity, the regular run of books. Mm-hmm. Make them 22-page stories. That did not need 30 pages to tell. No. That story did not need 30 pages to tell. And charge the comic book reader $3.99 if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But that's not a $4.99.
$5.
I can understand.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. That was actually $3.99.
Was it $3.99?
Yeah, this is the other book that we're going to get to is $4. Okay, $4.99. That was my bad.
Okay, you know what? Okay, then I'll cut that one some slack. It was $3.99.
For the price, yeah.
Yeah, I'll cut it some slack. The next book we'll talk about was more, but yeah, still, this book didn't really need to have its own one shot, and that means you're gonna make people feel like they need to pick up this book, and you really don't. You really don't need to pick up this book. Nothing happened in this issue that warranted actually really being put out.
Yeah, the whole like Doom or Osborn turning on Doom could have been like 2 pages in Dark Avengers.
Yeah, easy. In fact,
that's the only big plot point that really came out.
That would have been more interesting, actually, than what has been going on in Dark Avengers lately. Actually,
yeah.
All right, 1 down, 2 more to go. The next book was a $4.99 book, and you might be surprised by what we have to say about it. You'll have to come back and see. We'll see you then.